Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C Sports. We're talking real sports with the Charlton and Big C every Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, worldwide on Charlton and Big C Sports, the $1 Million Show. And today is beautiful Friday the 13th. It is actually May 13th, 2016, but 13 is actually a lucky number for a lot of people out there in the world. And you know, Big C, this segment is also sponsored by Bud Light, because you good old boys down south are going to need a lot of it after USC comes down there and whips up on you good old boys down in the great state of Texas, Big C.
Well, you know, Charlton, the University of South Carolina has always been a couple states over to the east.
I'm talking about the Trojans.
We have played them and trounced them throughout history. So, you know, we look at that as another practice game as we look at any USC as another practice game. But, you know, maybe they'll toss $1 million out here for us to pray for them and give them some guidance, okay?
Well, you know, that's why they brought back Lynn Swann. And I still got to talk about it every time because Lynn Swann's a multi-millionaire. You know, he was an All-American at USC, and he was drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, all-pro football player with multiple Super Bowls with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think every time he signed a contract, they gave him money, right, Big C? So
well,
now...
you know, I don't know if he called it money back then. He may have said compensation.
Well, compensation.
But he never took less.
Yeah.
He never took less, Joe.
Right. But here's a guy, they bring him into the heart of South Central Los Angeles, and there's more diversity in the heart of South Central Los Angeles than probably any other team out here in the Pac-12. And now he's telling kids they don't need to get paid. Just playing for USC should be enough. Get their education. But here's a guy who's made millions by getting paid, and he's telling his athletes they don't need to get paid, but they need to go out and play football and win a national championship for USC, Big C. I just think that's crazy. It's more in line with what you would expect from someone in the Southeastern Conference, perhaps.
Well, no, you know, it's a very egregious statement by Lynn Swann.
Yeah.
Now, here was a guy back in the era of college football, back in the early 70s, when it was known that players were paid under the table on the regular. You always went and met somebody, and somebody told you to go see somebody else, and they handed out an envelope for you. It had some $100 bills in it, and you just walk away.
No, that was just a signing doc. Were they just signing documents? What do you mean money? I thought they were just handing out signing documents, Big C.
But nobody could spell the name, Charlton. So what about, you know, you sign your X right here and your number and go head on.
Yeah.
And so Lynn Swann played in an era where, you know, payments in college football were rampant. And we didn't have this multimedia out there now chasing down every little indiscretion that the players do, Charlton. So Lynn was sort of sheltered in that era.
Yeah.
He went on to be a #1 draft pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers, won 4 Super Bowls behind Terry Bradshaw and that great offensive line and Franco Harris that they had with the Steelers and the Steel Curtain defense, Charlton, that were very notorious for their vicious play.
Yeah.
But, you know, Lynn Swann, you know, went on to be a broadcaster with ABC, a sideline reporter.
He did it, but he did it for his education, though. He didn't take money out, from what I understand, Big C.
Well, no, he did it because of the love of the game. He did it for free. He was just happy to work for ABC Sports, Charlton.
Right.
He didn't need any compensation. Give him a Greyhound bus ticket.
Yeah.
Let him get to the game and just be happy to stand on the sideline, Charlton. He also ran for the governor of Pennsylvania, Charlton, which was an ill-fated campaign when he did that. But he came back to USC, you know, and he's followed in a lineage of former players who became athletic directors at that great university that doesn't play great football.
Oh, no, wait. Doesn't play great football. I think we have 5 national championships out here on the West Coast. In fact, the NCAA, behind some of the good old boys from the SEC, I think they stripped one of the national championships away from USC, saying that they were treating their athletes the way Auburn and Alabama treats, that they actually pay some of these guys, allegedly, Big C.
So you're saying that, you know, you had players at USC, and let's get this correct, the University of Southern California, not the real USC.
Oh, come on. The one with the white horse. The one with the white horse, Big C.
The ones that have been caught paying players, not allegedly, the ones that have been caught paying players. And so let's stand corrected on that. You know, at least we know how to put it in a liquid form in a jar down here in the South, right?
Hey, they
down there, the real green California is not what Snoop Dogg is talking about with the sticky icky, okay?
California love. Hey, they're telling Lynn Swann, make sure you keep that white horse away from the Alabama sideline because he might give him some moonshine. I just think that's funny.
We like to barbecue big pieces of meat down here in the South, okay, Charlton?
That's funny.
Anything can happen. A horse can fall and break a leg. You never know what happens. Peter may be upset, but hey, the steaks are on the grill.
I understand. Speaking of the steaks on the grill, you talked about Hollywood, and I hear so many other programs now. There's another station over here in Northern California, San Francisco, and I've listened to them for over the years, but now sometimes when I turn on the program in the morning, I hear them talking about Hollywood and paying homage to some of the actors. They're actually playing video clips and audio clips from some great movies. We talked about Pulp Fiction. They have Sam Jackson in there. They have John Travolta. They have Vin Rames. They have so many of the characters, Big C, that you started just about 2 months ago. I see a lot of people are doing the same thing, Big C. And another great actor, Chuck Connor. I know he's someone that you've admired over the years too, Big C. What are your thoughts on the great Chuck Connor?
Chuck Connor, Charlton, was somebody I admired, and I think every young man admired back in the 60s. You could not wait to get home from school to watch The Rifleman with Chuck Connors.
Yeah.
Chuck Connor was an iconic physical figure, Charlton. He stood about 6'5". He was a tremendous athlete growing up, Charlton. He grew up in New York. But, one of the iconic things about Chuck Connors, he played in 2 professional leagues.
Yeah.
He played in Major League Baseball with the Brooklyn Dodgers, Charlton. That's where he started his Major League career. He also played with the Chicago Cubs. And he also played with the Boston Celtics. When you talk about a dual sport star, Charlton, not just dual sport, but dual professional sport, Charlton.
Yeah.
This is somebody who was able to master it on both sides. Chuck Connors spent over 40 years in film and acting after his professional career ended, Charlton. But when you think about the roles that he played and the sports that he's played, he also did a stint during World War II in the military, Charlton.
Yeah.
So, this was a man who not only got an education, but he served his country in military duty, as many men did back during World War II, the Great War.
Yeah.
But he also had enough left when he came out of the military, Charlton, to resume his professional baseball career and his National Basketball Association career. Now, you think about how hard that is. People give great praise, in the recent to people like Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson, talking about how great athletes that they were.
Yeah, they were great.
Multiple sports.
Yeah.
But, you look at Chuck Connors now, playing baseball and football sort of parallel each other.
Yeah.
But when you think about the athleticism that's involved in the NBA, Charlton, and to be able to transcend that through baseball and the NBA, now that's a tremendous individual.
Yeah.
And that's what you get from a Chuck Connors. He's not known by the talking heads because he was well before their time, Charlton. You're not going to hear this on ESPN. You're not going to hear it on Fox. You're not going to hear it on that Bay Area station that you talk about in radio all the time.
The sports leader.
But they will copy us.
Yeah.
But Chuck Connors, an iconic California figure where you live at, parallel sports long before these modern ESPN athletes were dual sport athletes, Charlton.
Yeah, I agree with that, Big C. And also, talking about great athletes, this segment is also sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealer, the standard of the world. Go by and test drive the all-new Cadillac Escalade. And when you go by and test drive it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Now, also, Big C, we know the San Jose Sharks, when you talk about Northern California, they eliminated Nashville last night 4-3. They beat the Predators.
Charlton, you had to take the Sharks because, the fish that was close to water, and cats are scared of water, okay?
Yeah,
so
I understand.
That game being played in San Jose, that was close to the bay. So, and cats don't like water, so they didn't have a chance at the start of that game.
I understand. I think about some of the great coaches over the years and how they talk about great athletes and great teams, but when you have a team called the San Jose Sharks, sometimes in some areas of the world, that's actually how the people are treated by some of the management. And as we think about the Sharks going forward, the Bay Area has so much to offer. You have not only the great 49ers, they have championships. You have the Oakland Raiders, they have championships. The San Francisco Giants, they have championships. Golden State Warriors, I mentioned that, of course. And then the Oakland A's, everyone has won a championship outside of the San Jose Sharks. So obviously, if they get a chance to step up and do what a lot of the other talent teams have done around the Bay Area, that's just great for Northern California. But hockey's a Canadian sport, Big C, but no Canadian teams in the NHL playoffs chasing Lord Stanley's Cup, Big C.
Well, there's no Canadian teams in it, but the Sharks are only the second Bay Area team to ever play hockey now, Charlton. This is before your time when they had the Bay Area Seals that used to play over in the Cows House. When they had a hockey team in the Bay Area back in the 60s and 70s. So, the San Jose Sharks are just the latest version of a National Hockey League team being in the Bay Area, and hopefully they'll have more success and stay around a lot longer than what the Seals did, Charlton.
Yeah, that's definitely true, and because Sharks love to eat seals, Big C, if you ever get out there in the water, you got to be careful, okay? They chase the seals away, and it's also the Predators fell to 0-8 all-time versus San Jose in playoff games. Now, San Jose is near Silicon Valley, and I believe that's one of the wealthiest regions of the world, and that's why so many teams are trying to go to San Jose. You have a lot of high-tech companies. The 49ers relocated from San Francisco down to Santa Clara, which is just north of the Silicon Valley. That's where the headquarters is. The Oakland A's were talking about trying to build a stadium downtown San Jose because they want some of that money. And, of course, the Sharks, they sell out all the time at the HP Pavilion. And speaking of selling out, Big C, I know the NBA is here, and we have a great matchup tonight with Toronto and Miami. But I want to go back to last night. And you brought it up before. I thought that San Antonio was going to find a way to win the game against OKC, but Duncan, obviously, and I hope he comes back. A lot of people speculate that he won't come back, but I think I'd like to see him do what Garnett does up in Minnesota, kind of come around, not play in every game, but be there as a leadership role, because when it comes to an MVP or a person that has a great mentality for mentorship, I can't think of anyone any better than Tim Duncan, Big C. I hope he doesn't retire. What are your thoughts on him?
Well, you look at LaMarcus Aldridge. He recruited him to come to San Antonio this year, Charles.
Yeah.
And the team had the fifth best record in NBA history.
Yeah.
When you think about that. So they had a marvelous regular season.
Yeah.
They're the only second team in the NBA to win at least 65 games and not make it to the conference finals. The Dallas Mavericks did that a few years back.
Yeah.
When they won 65 games. But, you have to look at what the totality of what they did this year.
Yeah.
When you get to this time of the season, Charlton, there's no slouches. There's no easy games.
Yeah.
And to think that OKC was just going to lay down with the great athletes they have in a Westbrook and a Durant and an Adams and a Ibaka.
Yeah.
These players come to play every night. They're professionals. They get their $1 billion paychecks also, Charlton. And everybody is in the hunt for a ring.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate prize for a professional athlete. They want the ring. San Antonio's had 5 during Tim Duncan's span there.
Yeah.
And, people thought that they were done a couple of years ago when Ray Allen hit the shot when they were playing Miami.
Down in Miami, yeah.
And Miami won the championship that year. But what did they do the following year, Charlton? They came back and won an NBA title once again. You can't count out great players. Duncan has had a tremendous run, as well as Ginobili, Parker also.
Yeah.
But it comes the time for the changing of the guard. And if the NBA loses 2 of its greatest ambassadors in Kobe Bryant and Tim Duncan in the same year, it will be almost like a travesty that you lose that much talent and that much personality from a league. But you also got to look at it from this perspective. Kevin Durant is going to be a free agent. And whether or not OKC wins the championship, you got to look at if Duncan retires, would Kevin Durant be a perfect fit in San Antonio with LaMarcus Aldridge and also Mike Conley coming out of Memphis as a guard?
Yeah.
Those 2 players, you could pencil them in for Ginobili and Duncan. If they retire, we're talking Kevin Durant with OKC and Mike Conley out of Memphis. That would be a tremendous coup for San Antonio, Charlton. So it's going to be a win-win situation whether Duncan stays or not, Charlton.
Well, I think that's very true, Big C. And last night when we looked at Durant, he was amazing. 37 points. Westbrook had 28 points. Oklahoma City beat San Antonio 113-99. They won the series 4-2. Now, remember, Big C, in the first game, Oklahoma City lost 124-92. But after that, there was a call in Game 2 that allowed, and this is why officiating is so important, it allowed OKC to get on track and steal Game 2 in San Antonio. And I think there were lingering effects all throughout the rest of that series, because after that, it seemed like OKC had another shot of an injection or some moonshine, as you good old boys call it down south. But I think that game, and you hate to say that an official can influence a game, Big C, because San Antonio is known as a flop team. And everybody knows that out here in the West Coast. They're always flopping. Ginobili flops all the time, even when you walk past them.
They may not have proper footwork, Charlton. I mean, you're coming from the South. It's not like you have access to all these big brand name shoe companies, being down on the border. So, they may have some PF Flyers or some Converse on their feet. Everybody can't afford these Nikes.
Well, I think he may have slipped on some of that moonshine that they were drinking before the game down in the great state of Texas, Big C. But also, when you just think about, you brought up something very powerful, too, because I like the way the character of the San Antonio Spurs, unlike their coach, because sometimes Popovich is a little bit sullen with the media, doesn't really want to give a lot of remarks or comments.
Charlton, how many dumb questions can you answer?
But he can still show a little bit of class, Big C.
But let's be realistic. When was the last new question asked by a sideline reporter, Charlton? What was the last new question that was asked? You've asked that same question for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And Pop, like many other coaches, he's not a dignitary.
Yeah.
He's a coach.
Yeah.
He's a grizzly older coach.
Yeah.
And, he wants somebody to ask him an intelligent question. He's an intelligent man.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't stupefy him asking an asinine question that has no relevance to what's going on in the game.
Yeah, but I still think, Big C, because a lot of coaches, they face the same reporters and they face the same questions. And I think one of the great coaches, Phil Jackson, we could talk about Red Auerbach also, but one of the new guys in Kerr, they show a little bit of passion for the reporter. That's okay to be kind. I mean, sometimes we think about guys like LeBron James, and he says, well, I, or my team, or my guys, as if they're called the LeBron James Cavaliers.
Yeah, but does LeBron ever gets challenged about his statements, Charlton? No, he doesn't. LeBron can sit up there and talk about I, me, and my team, my players, my coach. Like, he owns everybody.
Yeah.
But there's never any negative feedback when LeBron makes these statements. It's acceptable. It's just like when LeBron made the statement the other day, Charlton, about the MVP. Blasphemy on Steph Curry's great year being a unanimous MVP, saying that the statistics don't pan out to what you are.
Right.
Okay? Now, today he comes out talking about the coach of the year, saying that Steve Kerr didn't deserve to be the coach of the year. What LeBron James right now is doing, Charlton, is positioning himself and the NBA and the officials to be forced to get Cleveland into the finals so he has an opportunity to defend his statements. And so you're going to see some egregious calls, for Cleveland when they're playing most likely the Raptors. But, LeBron right now is politicking through the media to get the Cleveland Cavaliers into the NBA Finals, Charlton. And what he's doing as far as trying to steal the thunder of another player, nobody's gone out on any award or any scenario that LeBron has ever been in and said he did not deserve it. Very selfish on LeBron's behalf.
Well, I think even though Charles Barkley was saying, and this is something that I think Oscar Robertson brought up earlier in the year, they were saying that if Curry played in their era, like even pre-Jordan, maybe Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, that he would not be as effective because they let you put a body on people. How would he fare against the bad boys? So I understand maybe some of that's jealousy. But
even before their era, okay? Yeah. The great Iceman, George Gervin, who had a career in San Antonio and a few other NBA teams, he started in the ABA. George Gervin was just like Steph Curry, except he was 6'7". He was a very slender shooter, and like Steph Curry, his game per average went up 3 consecutive years. He went from 27 points a game to 29 points a game to 33 points a game. Now, people tried putting a body on George Gervin. If George Gervin had the 3-point shot in the NBA when he was playing, you could have stuck another 10 to 12 points a season on what he did, so that 27 would have been 39. That 29 would have been 47.
Yeah.
That 33 would have probably been closer to 50. That's how great an outside shooter that George Gervin was. So George Gervin played against these people, against the Oscar Robertsons, against the Charles Barkleys. So when you talk about players that can't play in an era, what has given Steph Curry an advantage is that they have the 3-point arc that has been in the NBA for the last 20 years, and he has perfected the shot out there, Charlton. Selfish former players, the egos have been crushed by the greatness of this young man.
Yeah, I agree with that too, Big C. I think he could have played well in any era because if you can shoot the ball and it goes to the hole, out here in California, they count that as a basket. So no matter how they try to knock the kid.
Let's look at some players that were even smaller than Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Muggsy Bogues, okay? Muggsy Bogues was 5'3". Calvin Murphy, 5'9", one of the greatest free throw shooters in the NBA history. And when he was in college at Niagara, he averaged 38 points a game in college, and he played against Charles Barkley. Nate Tiny Archibald with the Boston Celtics won a couple championships back there with Casey Jones. Not Casey Jones, Tommy Heinsohn as the head coach.
Yeah.
So Spud Webb, we've seen Spud Webb play and won an NBA dunk contest at 5'7". So we're talking
that was
about
amazing. Yeah.
Four diminutive players, Charlton.
Yeah.
That stood from 5'3" to 5'10" maybe. And all of them were NBA All-Stars and played in those eras of an Oscar Robertson and a Charles Barkley. So to sit there and say that Steph Curry could not play and be productive during that time, how did those other players survive and be All-Stars, Charlton?
You remind me of this skit that we saw on it was on commercial. It was Cedric the Entertainer. It was Ice Cube. They were in a barbershop, and they were talking about some of the great players, and they were talking about one of the ESPN hosts. I know you've been doing this for about a year now, Big C, but I saw this commercial. If you've seen it, I think it's Cedric the Entertainer and Ice Cube, and they were talking about some of the great basketball players of all time. And I think Cedric said, "Yeah, but what about Curly Neal?" Have you seen that commercial, Big C?
Yeah, he said the Harlem Globetrotters were the greatest basketball team of all time, which technically record-wise they are. They're the greatest basketball team of all time. And you got to look at the players who have played for the Harlem Globetrotters. Let's think about Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain spent 2 years with the Harlem Globetrotters, Charles. So where does he rank in the NBA analysts? He's the number 3 scorer all time.
Yeah.
Take those 2 seasons that he spent with the Harlem Globetrotters, he'd have pushed the scoring record off the chart that nobody would have gotten close to. Kareem wouldn't have never got there.
Yeah.
So when you talk about great players, you talk about the Curly Neals, the Meadowlark Lemons, the Goose Givens. All of these players were great college players, Charlton. The reason why Harlem Globetrotter players were not in the NBA, Charlton, that's due to segregation. Okay?
Yeah.
There was only a quota of number of black players that you were going to put in the NBA. So they had no choice but to go to the Harlem Globetrotters. And that's what happened with Wilt. When Wilt dropped out of Kansas early, the only place he had to go was to the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah.
Now think about if they had the early entries in that they have now. Like I said, Wilt's scoring record would be untouchable.
That's amazing that you bring that up, because I look at a lot of the talk around the NBA. Now, we know the NBA, because Chris Rock touched on a nerve that a lot of people think, okay, well, that's just Hollywood. But in athletics, it's still there. You talked about the great Wilt Chamberlain, a lot of the Harlem Globetrotters that were not allowed to participate in leagues because it was so segregated. A lot like right now, televisions, for the most part, segregated. And Hollywood's, for the most part, segregated. There's about 10 to 15% of opportunities that are open. But I think when we talk about the segregation and the great Wilt Chamberlain, I look at how that still plays a role to this day, Big C. We know how we come off the NFL draft, and they want to protect certain positions. And how does this play in what Wilt Chamberlain had to go through? Even with this quarterback thing, they still want to have a white quarterback because that's seen as the leader of a team. And the good old boys that own these teams, they want to keep that perception. That's why a lot of young black quarterbacks that were dominant in high school and dominant in college, beating the same guys that they go into the NFL to play against, and they're told, well, you're not going to be able to defeat these guys now. You brought up Auburn's quarterback that went through that same thing, Big C. Nick Marshall. So to see the same thing that's happened in the NBA, it's happened with Major League Baseball, it's happened with NFL football. I hope that Goodell is going to make things better.
Look at this. The Philadelphia Eagles today signed Eric Golston, quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay? Eric Golston took Notre Dame to the national championship game 3 seasons ago, Charles.
Yeah, but he got lucky. He lacked fundamentals, though, Big C.
Okay, so but Manti Te'o got all the publicity.
Exactly.
Not only that, but then he transfers to Florida State this last season.
Yeah.
What did he do? He became the starting quarterback at Florida State. After 6 weeks, he learned a whole new system.
Yeah, but he lacks the fundamentals, Big C.
Yeah, but they were one of the nation's top 10 programs, Charlton.
Yeah, but
with Eric Golston as quarterback.
But
man, I want to do the comparison to he and Jeff Goff.
Yeah.
Okay? At what point has Jeff Goff ever taken a team to a national championship game?
Yeah, but see, Jeff Goff gives people hope. You can win 14 games, lose 26, and you can become the number 1 draft pick of the Los Angeles Rams, Big C. That gives a lot of guys hope, at least.
So what you're saying that Eric Golston won 12 games 3 years ago with Notre Dame.
Yes.
And this past season at Florida State, he won 10. So I'm thinking, what's that, 22 games?
Yeah.
In 2 seasons?
Yeah.
In 2 different universities. And Jeff Goff won how many?
14, yeah, but he was
14.
But it wasn't 14. His fault.
And not one of those wins, Charlton, came against a top 25 team.
No, not at all, Big C. But he still looks.
Not one win came against a top 25 team. Now the NFL has. He's on one team, so that eliminates the NFL down to 31 other teams. Charlton.
Yes, sir.
So what you're saying is based on statistics. He can't win a game in the NFL. Based on statistics, he can't win a game. But he's the next savior, Charlton, that doesn't have a strong arm, that lacks strength in his lower body, and is going to need some time to develop bulk and more accuracy with his throws. Yeah. Because now he's going to be playing against grown men instead of 18 and 19-year-old boys.
I understand.
And the same thing with Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Now he's going to be playing against grown men, not Division III college football players.
I understand that, Big C. That makes a lot of sense. He's going to play against defensive linemen that can look him in the eye, not in the chest. I understand.
So, and he's going to play against defensive backs that run 4.4 and 4.3 40, not 4.5 and 4.6. So his interception to touchdown ratio might be a little skewed now.
Yeah, but you always like to talk about the facts, Big C. And speaking of talking about the facts, this section is also sponsored by your Northern California BMW dealers, home of the ultimate driving machine. Go down and test drive the all-new 1 Series all the way up to the flagship M7 over 600 horsepower, also known as the 760 Li. And when you go down and test drive it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Also by your Northern California Ford dealer, home of the all-new F-150. They build it Ford tough. And when you go down and test drive that, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Now also, Big C, when you talk about some of those issues, and we talk about the NFL, and they won't let it go. We know that Miami's going to play Toronto tonight, so the best teams to win that game, hopefully Toronto will just put it to rest and get on to the Eastern Conference Finals to play Cleveland. However, Jerry Jones, owner of the Dallas Cowboys, and you know Jerry has oil money, moonshine and money too, I understand. But Arthur Blank,
you gotta wash that oil off with something.
You gotta wash it off with something. That's true. And Arthur Blank for the Atlanta Falcons, they're building a beautiful state-of-the-art stadium downtown Atlanta, but they're even jumping on the bandwagon about putting a team in Las Vegas. Why are these guys pulling this garbage again? That's not going to happen. There's too much going on when you put people around the temptation of Las Vegas for fixing games. I mean, they could do it anyway, but why put someone in the heart of the storm and then expect that it's going to be safe and everything's going to be fair, Big C?
Well, Charlton, let's look at it like this way. You got to look at what size media market is Las Vegas in the NFL. The smallest NFL media market is Jacksonville. Jacksonville. And they had a Super Bowl down there about a decade ago.
Yeah.
With Philadelphia and New England.
Yeah.
But Vegas is even a smaller media market than what Jacksonville is.
And it's transient,
market.
Yeah.
And you're talking about putting a team in Vegas. You have 3 California teams right there. You got Los Angeles, which is a 3-mile drive away, Charlton.
Yeah.
You just put a team back in there, so they're going to be crying eminent domain. So basically, let's look at 4. You got the San Diego Chargers going to have that same cry. They're a 5-hour drive away.
Yeah.
How far drive is the Bay Area away?
Yeah.
You got Oakland and you got San Francisco.
8-hour drive.
Oakland's talking about going there, but the Rams are not going to give up that intimate domain area.
Yeah.
But
so maybe
looking at the heat factor of Las Vegas, which is egregious.
Yeah.
It's too hot down there to play college football games during the day. If you're outside, you can't grow grass. You got to put some astroturf out there.
Well,
so now you're talking about a playing surface 140, 150 degrees, Charlton.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're talking about taking the Dallas Cowboys and the Atlanta Falcons and making the Las Vegas Cowboys and the Las Vegas Falcons, they could share a stadium. Would that make sense, Big C, since they keep talking about it?
But Charlton, but we talk about the gambling scenario in Vegas. So you got a player, Charlton, sitting in a casino.
Yeah.
Okay? He's gone in and dropped a few $100,000 in a night, maybe more. So how do I get my money back?
Yeah, but Charles Barkley retired, Big C. He's not playing football. I thought he's running for governor of Alabama. he has to realize they don't know who he is if he's not wearing a uniform, Big C, so maybe he'll pull out.
Well, let's look at players like this, Charlton. Art Schlichter, All-American quarterback.
Yeah.
For the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah.
#1 draft pick of the Indianapolis Colts, Charlton.
Yeah.
Banned from football for gambling, okay? Spent some prison time also. But he was banned from football for gambling. This is a quarterback, okay? Ryan Leaf just got out of prison, Charlton.
Yeah.
Who had also a drug and gambling problem as a player. So now when we start looking at these players that don't live in that market being banned, and there's been several other players, Charlton, banned from football for gambling and betting on games, fixing games.
Yeah.
Now, if you put a whole NFL team in a city, then there's a lot of players, and even players that are not star players, Charlton, that can affect the game. Okay, I got a defensive back, the defensive tackle on a key play.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that receiver takes it up for 6. You know, you got quarterbacks overthrowing receivers. You got receivers dropping balls. You got all of a sudden a running back laying down fumbles. You got offensive linemen missing blocks.
Yeah.
The game is so.
It's a tough
now,
business.
I can get you.
Go ahead.
But
Big
if
C.
I can get you an extra $1 million this week, to help me make several $1 million.
I'll take it if you're talking about getting me an extra $1 million. I'll take it, Big C, no doubt about it. But let me just touch on this, Big C, because this final segment is also sponsored by CYNN Entertainment and Beneath His Wings Foundation. And to support or donate, go to bhwf.org. Contact Cynthia Evans at CYNN Entertainment. She's the best at promotions in Northern California. And when you tweet out, let her know that Charlton and Big C sent you. Also, United Labor guaranteed $100,000 life insurance. Tweet out for information on how. Also, Goosehead, PNC, Property and Casualty, the best rates in the business. Contact Charlton and Big C Sports. And as we wrap up, Big C, in the final few minutes, in Major League Baseball, we had the Red Sox 11, the Astros 1. It was the Orioles 7-5 over the Tigers. The Yankees beat the Royals 7-3. In the National League, the Phillies beat the Braves 7-4 in 10 innings. The Dodgers 5, the Mets nothing. The Giants 4, Diamondbacks 2. Johnny Cueto pitched a 7 strong innings for the San Francisco Giants. And Zach Greinke had another rough outing at home for Arizona. All that money they gave Zach Greinke, Big C, it hasn't really paid off yet.
Well, you know, this is what happens, Charlton. In baseball, you make an investment on the past, not the future. Okay? You pay people for past performances, and then all of a sudden you find a way to struggle.
Yeah.
Because his arm is tied from counting money. So he can't pitch. You know, when you got to go out there and count $150 million, that's a lot of arm
You said guys are going to start having Tommy Johns because they're counting too much money, Big C?
But, you know, you can expect the kid Strasburg to be injured, you know, within the next 12 months.
Yes.
Because his pocket is too heavy, so he's going to have knee or hip problem, you know, from carrying all this weight around.
That's funny. We talk about CTE for players that hit the heads too hard, but now Tommy John's not just for pitchers, but for guys that make too much money, Big C. I think that's funny. And in the final few minutes, Big C, I know we talked about some hockey, so congratulations to the San Jose Sharks. We talked about some of the NBA, Tim Duncan. I hope you come back because you have too much class to wait off on the sunset. Also, OKC looks pretty strong. I still pick Golden State in 6 games in that series, Big C. I think Steph Curry makes that much of a difference. Also, we talked about some Major League Baseball. And also, Big C, again, I want to touch on this one more time because you remind me so much of the Cedric Entertainer and Ice Cube when they were in that commercial that ESPN had, and they were talking about some of the great guys in the past. And I know a lot of guys, when I see on TV, they don't have the history that you do, but I think it's funny because I think a lot of guys are emulating what you're doing with your 40 years in broadcasting as an athlete, Big C. So congratulations to that. I'll let you wrap up the last minute of the program. What are you looking forward to this weekend in the world of sports, Big C?
Well, Charlton, what I'm looking forward to is the Players Championship in golf.
Yeah.
Can Jason Day go wire to wire at the Players Championship, Charlton? He's still in the lead at the tournament, you know, and can he finish up? I also look at how LeBron has propositioned the NBA to put Cleveland into the finals. That once that series starts in the Eastern Division Championship.
Yeah.
And as you say, the repeat of the Golden State Warriors is what everybody is looking forward to, Charlton.
Yeah.
Steph Curry repeated as an MVP. It would be undaunted in history to do that back-to-back years as the MVP of the league and of the finals and win a championship. That's what basketball needs. Basketball is a platform.
Yeah.
And we need an unselfish ambassador in the game.
Yeah.
We've seen the selfishness over the past decade. We don't have the Larry Birds, the Magic Johnsons, the Michael Jordans, the Dr. J's any longer.
Yeah.
We need that type of ambassador, and that's what Steph Curry represents. We've had enough selfishness in the NBA. The great Tim Duncan was an ambassador because he was unselfish.
Yeah.
We had the Kobe and Shaq selfishness show in Los Angeles. But the Golden State personifies old-time basketball. When you got all these retired players talking about they couldn't play in that era,
yeah.
Let's reverse that a little bit, Charlton. Could they play in this era? Could their old butts drag up and down the court now in this era?
Well, I think that's true, Big C. And speaking of this era, we are out of time again, Big C. But I always want to tell you, you can always listen in worldwide on the Charlton and Big C show. Send us out a tweet as we talk real sports. We do it every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So thanks for listening. We appreciate you, and we hope you have a super fantastic day.